Hey everyone, what's up? It's Brian from Day Trading Demystified doing a market wrap-up for, where are we today? June 19th, Thursday. I just had a very interesting chat in a guru chat room somewhere in the States with a couple gentlemen. We're talking about DDD. We'll get to that in a quick sec. I'm just sharing a couple stock trading ideas with you today. Trying to shorten my videos. Having an Irish heritage, I guess I rambled on a little too much. So, quick look at the SPY to start. Still in a long-term upward trend here. It's my opinion that it's at the extreme top of this long-term channel right here. And you can expect that, in my opinion, to pull back. So let's have a quick look at some stocks. These are just stock ideas. So if we have a quick look here at Moby on the daily, I was a buyer quite a while back when it broke out of this pennant, and I rode it up until this trend line here. I wish I would have got out here. That would be a lie. I didn't. I sold here. Interesting thing I see here now is it's got all this support with the 200 period moving average, that blue line there, and of course this entire area. And then of course today we had a little bit of a breakout. I think it's likely that it may attempt to revisit these highs, so that might be a good little swing trade. You never know. If anybody has any stock trading ideas they'd like my opinion on, or just maybe to feature in one of our videos, please do. A gentleman on Tuesday asked me about Neon. They thought that it was breaking out of this downward channel right in this area, and I had actually warned him to stay away from this stock for a few reasons. It's in a very steep downward trend there, you can see. The 200 period moving average way up here. All kinds of resistance in these areas up in here. And of course it was still in that downward trend right here. It had not broken out. There are 3 requirements for any stock I look at unless it's a clean breakout from a long period of consolidation. If you want to see what that's all about, have a look at VISN. VISN from last October. Everybody here at Day Trading Demystified was a buyer in the $6 area, and we rode that up to 18. Now in order to do that, you do need to understand falling tops, rising bottoms, trend lines, breaks of trend lines, and all that good stuff. And that information is of course available in the videos under the video series section on the Day Trading Demystified website. Back to Neon. The first thing a stock needs to do is break out of its downward trend. After it breaks out of its downward trend, we need to see a period of consolidation, and I also usually like to see it retest the breakout. So if this stock Neon had in fact broken out of this downward trend line that it's still in, and it's quite ugly, I would have liked to have seen it kind of bobble sideways for a few weeks and then break out on abnormal volume. So unfortunately, the gentleman I was talking to probably lost a few bucks on that. Okay, here's a stock I am currently in. I am in GPL from $1.03. Let's have a look at the reason why. GPL actually looking really good. Okay, so anytime you're looking at any stock, again, I just said this a minute ago, but I'm going to say it again simply because I find the best messages and the best lessons that are pounded into your head make you remember them. So GPL was in a downward trend line. Again, this is just my opinion. It broke out of that in this area here. We can also draw what's called a regression channel, or just a normal channel if you like. Yep. Now when it broke out, something else that I had been looking for, this is GPL on a longer term. Again, downward channel breakout. And it broke out here right in the $1 area. Now this almost looks like a pennant. If GPL closes strong tomorrow, I may buy some more, simply because I don't see a whole lot of resistance for this stock up to the $1.50 area at least. I'm going to hold it tomorrow and see what happens. It does have some resistance in this area, but that's one thing you want to look for. The break of the downward channel. Another stock that I'm currently watching, BPZ or BPZ, depending on where you're from. So upon first glance, it looks kind of messy up there at the top, and it does have this really ugly wick here. Well, the 200 period moving average way down here, but again, change your time frame up and have a look at it way down here. You see, this was a $30 stock almost. Now, of course, there's no guarantee it's ever going to be that again. The thing that caught my eye on this stock, 200 period moving average above its head all the way down. Well, looky if we move this trend line here. Let's get that out of the way. Again, this is just my opinion. This is what I see in the stock right now. Now, if BPZ does have a big crash tomorrow, I would sell. I have a very small position. I'm trying to cheat. My stop loss is 20 cents, so it's no big deal. However, like I said, this is the first time in quite a while that BPZ or BPZ, again, whatever, has had the 200 per moving average supporting it. Now it's also got the 20, the 8, and now the 200 is underneath it. If this holds and this stock closes strong tomorrow, I think it's got, it's got some resistance here at $5. It's got some resistance here at $6.60. It's got some resistance here at $9.68. But it's such a cheap stock with such a tight stop loss that I do think if it can finish strong tomorrow and stay above the 200 per moving average, that is this teal colored line, I think a reversal is in order, and this could be a good hold for quite a while. Of course, that's if it has a strong finish to the week. Moving on, this is just a stock idea I'm looking at. HT, Hersha Hospitality Trust. I just mentioned the name for those that want to know. I don't really care what a stock company does. The only thing that ever interests me in any situation is the chart. So HT, nothing really much to look at on the daily, but when you have a look at the weekly, well, we've got some rising bottoms here. Again, for those who don't know what all that is, video series on the Day Trading Demystified website. Incidentally, Massimo is preparing. We're going to have a summer sale on all of our videos. The videos do encompass everything that we've both learned in the last 4 years, and that's helped us make some pretty good profits on the stock market. So HT on the weekly. Rising bottom, rising bottom, rising bottom, rising bottom. Almost like a pennant or a slightly downward wedge. I have no position on the stock right now. I'm watching it kind of stalking this particular company. Going to see if it kind of follows in this channel. If it does have a breakout of this channel, I think it's quite likely to revisit the $9 or $10 area. Again, that's just an idea I have. Let's have a look at another warning. So this is a company somebody emailed me about, IDSA. Again, don't know what they do, couldn't care less. In one of the videos on the Day Trading Demystified website concerning the 5-minute or the daily breakout candle, somebody had mentioned that this stock had this really nice breakout here. Well, a couple things wrong with their analogy, again, in my opinion. This is not tight consolidation between 450 and 495, plus we have a couple of these really ugly candles here. But my argument was, and still is, let's just pretend that IDSA was going flat, perfectly sideways. Let's say between 470 and 475 between March here, March 2014, you can't really see it. I cut it off for the screen capture for the video. But right down here, this is March 2014. And now let's say that up until this green candle, it had gone perfectly sideways. Another thing you always have to remember that a lot of people that are fairly new to trading or inexperienced fail to do is check multiple time frames. If you don't check multiple time frames, again, just my opinion, but in my opinion, if you do not check those multiple time frames, what you are doing is putting a bullet in a 6-shooter and spinning it and then putting it to your head. Because even if this had gone perfectly sideways between here and here, and then had the breakout, I'd still want to check the long term. Let's do that now. Well, when we look at the weekly, surprise, surprise, the 200 period moving average right there, this teal colored line, right on its head. Well, let's zoom in on that and see what it did. What did it do when it hit it? It rejected it. I will almost never buy a stock that is coming up directly into the 200 MA. Again, it depends on the long-term chart. The long-term situation depends on your level of experience. But 9 times out of 10, when I see the 200 period moving average on a stock's head, I will not touch it. Moving on, Tier or Tear, Tier Lab Corp, Health Services, again, whatever, don't care. Let's switch this up to the daily. Now, this is a stock that I am watching. When you look at it on the weekly, you know, you had this nice little pop up to here. And of course, this corresponds with this big red candle right there. So I'm not really watching it because of the weekly. What I am watching it for, and we're going to draw another channel. So this is a stock that I am watching just to see what it's going to do in the next little while. So this stock is clearly still in a downtrend. Now, if you're a really experienced trader, and this is something I'm not doing a lot of right now, but you can play the pivot point of a downward or an upper channel, meaning when this stock is below the 50% line or in the lower part of the channel, you can play the bounces, but I don't do that simply because fear is more powerful than greed, and when these stocks are heading down, things can get ugly quickly. So what I'm watching this stock for, there's your channel, I am watching to see if this eventually breaks its downward channel. Now, of course, it's struggling to stay above the 200 MA, so this is just a stock that I am currently watching. I would not touch it at this point. Now, if you go back to Tear for a minute and then you look at RNG, you'll see what I'm talking about. RNG is just like a 2 or 3 day hold for me. I'm currently in, I believe, at 1345, 1346. Same idea. And if you don't know how to find these stocks, please email me or pick up the How to Find Stocks to Trade under the video section on the Day Trading Demystified website. I explain how I find all of these stocks to trade. So here's just another good example. RNG was in a downward channel for quite a while. Now when it broke out of that channel for less than a week and it had this huge pop, well, what I did was I bought it in this area simply because it was outside of the channel and it already had 3 days of support. And of course, you see here the 8-period moving average, one of my favorite moving averages, something that took me a few years to figure out, now supporting it. So I can use one of these candles and the fact that the 8-period moving average is supporting it as my stop loss. I'm still in RNG. I don't know how much higher it's going to go. You know, it's got the 8 coming down on its head here, and it's got some resistance here. If I had to guess, and this is just my opinion, I'm not giving anybody advice, of course, I would never do that. When you get a stock in a long or short position that gets inside a big bar, those can usually fill. If we look here at this candle, it is just touching there. There's the close, and there's the close, but it's inside this big bar, and it's got resistance there. I think it's likely that this stock sees 15, maybe 1530, 1540, who knows. I think it's going to go a little higher. It is, of course, going to run into some resistance with these bottoms here, and the 20-period moving average coming down on its head. All right, I'm going to end this video by talking about my favorite stock. You guessed it, for those who know me, DDD. Excuse me, 3D Systems Corp. Again, I had a really interesting conversation with a gentleman in a chat room earlier today. He told me he felt DDD was extremely overevaluated simply because he didn't see three-dimensional printing having the same application or consumer power as a microwave oven. Well, what I would like to bring up are 2 points. I remember in the 50s, I tried to find a photograph of this to add to this video presentation, but I couldn't find it, although I know it's out there. I'm still going to see if I can look it up. When the military was experimenting when the internet apparently first came out. It was the 50s or 60s, and they were discussing the feasibility, and it was brought to the attention of the persons in fact in charge of the technology that it was insane to think that the average person would ever have a use for the internet. It was strictly a military application. 30 years ago, my uncle, conversation I had with him, he said it was absolutely and completely ridiculous to believe that the average person would ever have a need or a use for a printer in their home. Oops, we know how that turned out. Printers, laser printers, I honestly believe that 3D printing is a technology that has limitless applications I will not get into because this video is already 10 minutes longer than I originally anticipated. So DDD, let's go back to it quickly here. Again, downtrend broken. Now it's in this nice sideways channels. I've been playing the highs and lows of that long term. Well, there's DDD in its long-term upward trend. I think it's going to continue to struggle for a while simply because it's summer. The rich people are all in the Hamptons or at the racetrack or whatever. We've also got the 20-period moving average on its head. I think DDD is building a base. I believe it's going to pop out. I believe eventually it's going to revisit these highs and go even higher. That is just my opinion. Anybody in this stock right now, I would say, keep your stop tight. You've got all this support here in the $45 to $50 area. I know a couple people who are doing quite nicely in this stock right now simply because they bought in the $46, $47 area. So that's just my opinion on DDD. Long term, I think it's a great pick. Now, on the flip side of all that, if this channel, and again, just my opinion, if this channel should fail and DDD should fall out of it below 46, 46.50, and let's look at that on the weekly. So if all of this support, all of this accumulation, which is what I think is going on, was to break and DDD was to find itself down here, then I believe it would revisit the 200 period moving average, but I would not be a buyer there. So if all this support breaks, I would get out. That's it. Long-winded video once again. We'll see you guys next time. Trade well.